Hello fourth graders, and welcome to another English video lesson. We are still exploring philosophical topics, but today's lesson will be slightly different. Its title is Anything Left to Ask? I'm Irena and I will be your English teacher for the day. If you have a look at the expected outcomes for today, you'll see how this lesson is supposed to be different. If you go through all the materials and complete all the tasks, by the end of the lesson, you will have been able to write alternative explanations of actual philosophical concepts and to create an infographic about real and invented philosophical concepts. In order to do all that, before we start, make sure that you have everything you need at hand. That would be something to write with and something to write on, and a gadget with internet access. You know that you can pause or replay the video at any time, not just when you're instructed to do so. Make sure that you go through the lesson at your own pace. So, let's start. Have you heard the term ism or isms? It is a plural noun which refers to a distinctive doctrine, cause, or theory. The term describes any specific practice, system, or philosophy, and most often it describes a political ideology or an artistic movement. The term can also be used in a derogatory way, but we won't use it that way. We'll talk about isms as a number of different philosophical theories or approaches. So, the majority of ism words, are quite broad terms designating a certain general type of doctrine. There are more than 200 isms in philosophy only, and about another 100 or so in politics and arts, for example. But don't worry, we'll only mention a few. Besides introducing new vocabulary, let's say we will be also working on your general knowledge. So, let's have a look at the most important philosophical isms. Determinism, dualism, idealism, empiricism, materialism, phenomenalism, rationalism, and relativisms. And here is the first task for you. Without Googling or finding out anything about these terms, without actually knowing what these isms are all about, try to define them on your own, but write funny definitions. Just focus on the meaning of the words those isms are made of, and write what you think they could be describing. Be creative and try to be as funny as you can be. Pause the video and do the task. Here are some potential answers. Here are my definitions. For example, I could say that dualism is the philosophy claiming that chocolate spreads always have to be both black and white, the dual part. Or I could say that the phenomenalism is a philosophy describing how awesome and great I actually am. Or that relativism is a philosophy explaining why an hour spent with friends is not the same amount of time as an hour spent at a lecture. It is relative. Of course, these are not real explanations. I'm just trying to be funny. And I'm pretty certain your definitions are even better, and it would be great to see them. So, follow the link and share your isms. You can access the canvas if you follow this QR code, and you can write and share what you have prepared. I'm sure the political isms are just, philosophical isms are just waiting to be redefined. But we need to get serious for a moment. I'm sure your definitions are creative and funny, but we also need to see what the isms are actually all about. Follow the link and take a look. Pause the video and make notes about the explanations you are about to read, because you will need them later on. Remember when I said this lesson is also about activating your general knowledge? Here is a task that will definitely help you win the philosophical round at the next pub quiz that you will be taking part of. Match the philosophers with the isms their theories refer to. Most of them are well known. If necessary, conduct a quick investigation to make sure that you got it right. And now, let's check your answers. Of course, these philosophers are not the only representatives of the isms mentioned. Most philosophical concepts have been studied by a number of them. The ones here are the best known representatives. We could say that these are the names that should immediately spring to mind when you see or hear about some of these items. When you hear about determinism, you'll immediately think about Democritus. René Descartes is the one that dualism is closely associated with, just like Francis Bacon has to do with empiricism. Plato's philosophy is all about ideas, while Engels is about material things. David Hume is the best-known representative of phenomenalism, Socrates of rationalism, and Protagoras of relativism. So much about your general knowledge. And now, let's go to another less serious activity. Think about the philosophies and isms you have just learned something about. Imagine those philosophers were talking informally to each other, making jokes about their views and theories. Ignore the fact that some of them lived centuries apart. Choose two pairs and prepare a cartoon with their questions and answers. You can use these ideas. You can, for example, focus on what did Plato say to Friedrich Engels, or what did Socrates say to Francis Bacon. You can decide to choose the Greeks and try to think what Protagoras said to Democritus, but you can also choose your own pairs. Don't go too deep into their philosophies. Focus on the definitions of isms and work from there. While making the cartoon, I suggest that you use Powtoon or some other tool which has built-in features to help you start with, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a cartoon. If you don't feel like making one, you can go for a comic book, perhaps even a hand-drawn version, or a digital tool, whatever you like. Just make sure that you share your ideas on the canvas, which will open if you follow this link. I'm sure your ideas will be wonderful and that we will enjoy looking at them. So, let's move on. At the beginning of the lesson, I said there are more than 200 isms in philosophy only, and another 100 or so in politics and arts and other fields of science. So, here is another set of isms that you are likely to come across in everyday life. Cynicism, dogmatism, fatalism, hedonism, nihilism, and pacifism. People often use them to describe their personal views or their set of beliefs. Are you familiar with these concepts? Can you define them? Which areas of life are they most likely to refer to? Which of the keywords would you emphasize when it comes to them? Think about that and then follow this link to play a game to see if you were right. You will see the definitions and the explanations of these isms, which you can come across in everyday life, but which originate in philosophy. Once you have done that, think of any other isms that people talk about and mention on a daily basis. Something from politics, something from arts. conduct a research and add 2 more isms to this list. Once you have done that, you have seen different viewpoints and takes on life. But what is your opinion? How would you describe your personal philosophy? Choose your own ism, or if you cannot do that, invent your own. Explain it in 2 or 3 sentences, and think of a catchy phrase that would summarize it. That will be your ism's motto. Make notes about all that. Pause the video and do the task. And now, try to express your ism in a manner suitable for the 21st century. Use icons or emojis only. Take as many as you need and convey the essence of your ism in this visual way. And now let's finally put all of that together. You're going to create an infographic in which you will present 6 isms altogether. You will use 3 from the list from this lesson that you consider relevant, or at least interesting. You will add 2 more that you have found out about, and you will present your own. For each of them, include the explanations, actually write what they refer to and entail, and think of a motto for them. We said it would be a short, catchy phrase which will express your ism's creed. Add an icon or emoji, or as many as you need, as the visual representation of the isms you're writing about. I suggest that you use some of the digital tools with built-in templates for infographics like Canva, but the choice, of course, is yours. Once you have created your infographics, share the links to them on this canvas, which you can open if you follow the link or the QR code. Before submitting your infographic, use this rubric to make sure you've got it right. If you're in the still a lot to do or almost there categories, go back to it and make all the necessary changes. That way you'll make sure that your infographic is complete. And finally, let's evaluate this lesson. It was a real mix. We combined English and philosophy, we combined serious concepts and funny definitions, we had philosophers joking, and we had views of life expressed with icons and emojis. How did you like it? How did you feel during this lesson? Can you explain why? Think about it for a while. This is not just a simple question. Understanding our emotions and managing them while learning is one of the key things for success. Think about that. And until we see each other next time, take care. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson.